You're already here? Welcome, welcome. Nice to see you. How is it going? Wait, something is missing. Now that's better. Today is my birthday, so young me thought this video would be ready by then, but it wasn't. So actually, my birthday was a few days ago. And for this special occasion, I want to show you one of my favorite achievements, which is a game that I played against one of the players who I look up to the most. And that player is no one else but Judit Polgar. I actually had the chance to play against her, and this is what this video will be about. If you don't know who she is, then stop the video right now, do your homework, and then you can continue the video. You cannot live without knowing who she is, right? Now that you know that she is the best woman chess player ever, I have to tell you that as a child, she was my idol and I always looked up to her. She is the one who made me work harder for my goals and dreams. And obviously, I wanted to play against her. I remember it was extremely hard to get selected for the simul, and at first I wasn't chosen. But just right before the start of the simul, someone withdrew because they couldn't make it there, and one of the organizers helped me to get a spot. So I could actually play against her. It was unbelievable and so exciting. The game ended in a draw, which was well deserved in my opinion because we both had our chances to win, but we both made mistakes. Let's see how the game went. So the game started with first d4, and when that happens, normally I respond with the King's Indian defense. But this time I played first d5, which is the Tarrasch defense, and that used to be my secondary choice. But I love the King's Indian, so I'm actually not sure why I didn't play it. I'm as surprised as you are. She continued with knight f3, and we put the opening out. I will just go over this because no action happened here yet. And at this point, I decided to put my bishop on g4, which doesn't make a lot of sense besides tempting white to threaten the bishop with h3. But besides that, it's not doing much. Instead, I should have played h6, then bishop e3, rook e8, and we get into a normal position. She responded bishop g4 with h3. Instead, maybe queen a4 would have been more interesting because that way white would have connected the rooks, would pressure the c6 knight, and generally it would have been a better developmental move. Here I should have played bishop e6, that would have been a better move, but instead I put my bishop on h5, which is still a useless diagonal, so I'm not sure what this bishop is still doing there. She responded with knight f5. Now the d5 pawn is attacked, so I had to do something with it, and I had no choice but to push it. d4. She should have played knight b5 in my opinion, because that pawn is extremely weak and it's not so easy to find the right solution here. And here if I play bishop c5, which is a natural looking move, white would just play queen c1, and now this is very uncomfortable because the bishop is on the main diagonal, therefore the c6 knight is already attacked, and the queen is attacking the bishop, and indirectly the knight on c6. So for sure I will lose material here. The best move according to the computer is knight d5, but I don't think anyone would play this actually, at least I wouldn't. Bishop takes, knight takes, and then knight takes on d4, I capture, she captures, I capture, rook recaptures, I get back the pawn, but in exchange she has access to my 7th rank with her rook, and then this wouldn't have looked so nice for me. It's still fine-ish, but it's white who is pressuring black here. Thanks God in the game this is not what happened. Instead, she captured on e7 immediately, and I recaptured, and then she played knight e4. And now that pin is quite annoying, let's be honest, because that's for sure will ruin my pawn structure, and I can do nothing about it. Do you remember I said this bishop was out of place? Well, it is. That's why my move should have been bishop g6 here, because that way I would have avoided getting into trouble after f4, g4, f5, and my bishop would be quite trapped. And here white would have continued with knight takes f6, pawn takes, bishop goes to h6, attacking the rook, and then I just move my rook away, defending this pawn, of course, because it needs support. And my position looks a little bit suspicious because there is a dark squared bishop here controlling my squares, my dark squares, but white has no access to it. And I have doubled pawns, but again, white has no access to it. So white is slightly better here, but again, it's not so easy to exploit these weaknesses. In the game, I wasn't so afraid of my bishop's position, which was a mistake, and that's why I played rook fd8, which is a question mark move. Here, white has a good way to take advantage of my bishop. If you have been paying attention, now it shouldn't be so hard to find the right move, which would trap my bishop. So, do you see it? The right move is f4. At first it might look like an out-of-place move, but the threat is unavoidable. White is threatening to play g4 and then f5 to trap my bishop. And I can try with h6, trying to create a spot for my bishop, but it is good for nothing because white captures on f6, I recapture, and now white doesn't play g4, because then I have f5 exclamation mark, saving my bishop. Whew, now threatening there and threatening there. Here I don't play bishop g6 because here white just plays f5 and I move my bishop back, yes, and I technically saved it, but what is this bishop? It's not a bishop. It will never see the light of the day anymore. Instead, the right continuation is f5, because my bishop cannot make it out. Look at this bishop. What is it doing? Nothing really. So g4 is coming, and that will be trapped, and I will be a piece down, and there is nothing I can do about it. So when you play a simul against 30 people, when it's really hard to get deeply into the position and see the tactics easily. So I was lucky she did not find f4. That would have executed me immediately. Instead, she captured on f6. I recaptured and she played queen d2. I played f5, kicking the horsey away. Queen came in, threatening knight f6 check. And I wouldn't want to get checkmated, so I captured the knight. I didn't want to keep my bishop because what is this bishop? It's an ugly bishop. It's not doing anything. So I wanted to capture the knight. She captured my bishop and now I'm quite satisfied. Look at these pawns. They block the bishop in and potentially I can create a pass pawn later in the endgame. I played rook e8, rook ac1. We continued the game. I offered an exchange, which she refused. I played king h8, rook c4, threatening the pawns potentially if I move my knight away. And here I played queen a6. I think f5 would have been a better move because that defends my center better. And at first, you could say my king doesn't deserve the safest king award at all. And you might be right. But it's not that unsafe either because white just doesn't have the resources to attack it. And that's why f5 would have been a better move. Instead, I offered the queen exchange, which she took. I recaptured and my opponent played b4. She wanted to push the pawn most likely to get the pawn on d4 because my knight was defending it. And I had this terrible idea to play b5 here, which is double question mark. Do you know why? Do you see it? Well, it is a terrible idea because now white can capture on c6 and I'm a piece down, so I have to capture it. And here comes the move. Bishop takes e4. That's a nasty skewer over there. And well, you could say, but hey, I can just defend one rook with the other. And yes, you are right, but the bishop captures, rook recaptures, and we will end up in a position where only white can win. You know, look at my pawns. They are not nice looking ones. So white is the only one who can fight for winning chances here. And well, knowing Judith's skills, most likely she would have been able to convert this into a win. She didn't play it. She played rook c5 attacking my pawn, and here I said, okay, hey, that's a free pawn hanging over there, so let's capture it. I captured it, rook captured on b5, and I said, hey, but you have a second pawn hanging over there, so I captured on e2. Here, white played rook b7, threatening on f7, plus normally the rook on the 7th rank. Looks good, right? And well, here I continued with king g7, which was a mistake. I don't have to care about the pawn on f7. Instead, I have two continuations. One is a5. I can just start pushing this Johnny, little Johnny, and it will be quite hard for white to do anything about it. Let's say rook captures, I play knight c3, attacking on e2 as well. And if the rook defends it, I can just keep pushing it. And yes, now it will be pretty hard to do anything about this pawn promotion. The other option I had instead of a5 after rook b7 is knight c3. Knight c3. Now if rook captures, I can just capture on e2. And well, I have two pass pawns. Should I say more? It should be enough. So I decided to play king g7, which we saw it was a mistake. Judith played rook a1, threatening that knight over there, and well, later capturing on a7. That was her idea. Here I played knight c3, attacking the e2 pawn, and she decided, okay, now it's time to capture this pawn. Probably she wanted to simplify the position, but the position gets simplified for me after rook captures. Instead of capturing here on a7, she should have played bishop f1, defending there, and I am still better, but my pieces are a little bit disorganized, and here most likely I would have continued with a5, but it's still a game. Also, instead of rook a1, she should have played rook d7, attacking this pawn, because this is one of my best pawns, right? And now it's pretty hard to defend it. I can play knight c3, but she would play rook e1, and now good luck defending it. It's not so easy. I mean, I can play knight b5, but slowly I'm losing my advantage here if I keep going back. So she captured on a7, I recaptured. She recaptured, I captured on e2, king went to f1, and here I decided I wouldn't push this pawn, because normally I want to keep my pawns together. They are stronger this way. I don't want to commit to a pawn move, because there can be a time when I wish I didn't push any of them. If you make a pawn move, you can never take it back, right? So that's why we have to be careful with those moves. And that was the right decision, actually. I played knight c3. She played h4. I played rook b6, trying to come in from this direction, threatening a nasty checkmate. Well, of course, she didn't blunder it. She played bishop h3. This move is an important one because you need to bring the bishop into the game somehow. And it would have been also good for bishop g4, controlling on d1. And that's why I had to play h5 here. So I would control on g4, control the square on g4. But I didn't realize this during the game. Another move that would have worked here, and actually that's a little bit better than h5, it is d3. Because now bishop g4, but I can give this check on b1. The king will have to leave, and I can just push d2, d1, and win a piece and eventually win the game. It would have been an easy pawn promotion. Instead, I played king g6, and she played h5. I could have captured it, but I didn't want to deal with that. So instead I played king f6, because I didn't want to give my pawn on f7 for the h5 pawn, because I am the one with the material up. So Of course, I don't want to exchange pawns because the more pawns I exchange, the less chance I have to win. So I didn't want to go into that. She played rook c7, and after rook c7, I played h6. I'm not sure what the purpose was behind h6. To be honest, I don't remember. It happened a long time ago. But what I know instead is that rook b1 again would have worked. Rook b1 check, king g2, and here another idea could have been rook b2 threatening on f2. Threatening the pawn on f2 with a potential e3 pawn push or knight on d1. And I would have got that pawn because my opponent has a light squared bishop and that cannot really defend that pawn. And again, I have time to push this. I don't have to hurry with that. But I decided to push this pawn on h6. But as I mentioned before, I still have the time, just it was unnecessary. She played bishop g4. I played king g5. I thought it would kick the bishop away. It doesn't. It's not necessary. It's not necessary to play king g5 here. Instead, I had a nice tactic here. I won't let you find it because it's a little bit complicated. It's after bishop g4. If I played e3, now that would have been a cute move. Because if pawn captures, do you see the move? It's knight d5. And the funny thing is the rook on c7 is hanging and it cannot go away with the tempo by checking me, for example. And once it moves away, I will capture on e3 and then the king is in check and the bishop is hanging on g4, right? So it's basically a fork. Imagine how nice it would have been if I played this. But I didn't. Unfortunately, instead I played king g5. I have to say that at this point there weren't so many players anymore, so the rounds became a little bit faster because, you know, before we had to wait for Judith to go and make a move against every one of us. Of course, it takes a lot of time. But at this point, I think we were only around maybe 5, maximum 10 people. So I also had less time. So I played king g5. She played bishop c8, and this is the time when I decided to play rook b1 check. Here, I think it would have been better to just come back, defend this, and then wait for her to play something, and then I start going, because I shouldn't give this f7 pawn. This way I don't give counterplay chances to my opponent. But instead I thought, okay, rook b1 check should be the right one. She played king g2, and here I did a terrible mistake, which I regret, because if I didn't do this mistake, probably I would have won this game. So here I thought I can just push d3, because if she captures, I thought I could push, and it's impossible to catch the pawn. But that's not the case. Do you see how she can stop this pawn from promotion? Well, she gave this check, rook c5, because of course she has to make it back. She has to make it back to g4 to control the d1 square, and she can't do that because the king is defending g4. She gave this check first. I have no choice but to go back to f6, and now the bishop makes it back to g4. And here I don't have any choice. I have to promote. If I don't promote, then rook d5 comes, and with the piece down, I will lose. So I had to promote. She captured, I recaptured, and this is a dead draw position. I offered draw, I think 1 or 2 times, but she refused it both times. I can't blame her for that, because normally it's a good strategy to keep playing when you are higher rated or when you are stronger, just to test your opponent's skills. Do they really deserve the draw? Do they not deserve the draw? If they deserve it, then they have to play well. If they don't deserve it, then most likely they won't play well. Therefore, you can get the point. And that's what she did. Lucky for me, I did play well enough to get the draw. I will just show you what happened here. g4, I played rook there, cutting the king off. She played rook f5 check. I moved away, rook there. I defended that with my rook. She comes with the king. I played f6. And just normal moves. No one can really do anything here. And it's really dead draw. f5 check. I move my rook away, and it seems like I lost my pawns, but it's not the case again. It's a side pawn, and her king is not really doing anything. It's very far away from the action, so just by playing king e5, I am good. I'm good. She can defend this g-pawn. So she played, she can defend it with rook g6, but I still captured. And here rook captured, f takes, and I am in the square of the pawn. So I make it back to the pawn. But unfortunately, her king is too close to do anything with my pawn. So here she played h6. I went closer. I am now in the square of the pawn. Just like before, and king played f4, I played king g6, king takes, and this is a draw. And this is where we decided to shake hands and say, okay, good game. Thank you for the game. Chess.com weirdly thinks the game could have continued, but to do what? Anyways, now that the game is over, let me show you a couple of pictures from the event. So this happened during the game, and you can see actually on the board that it says board 33. So there were 33 participants, and I was the one on the last board. And you can see this is how the game started. Here's mini-me on the side with the puzzle pullover, which was my favorite back in the day. Do you recognize this person? He is actually a grandmaster, and he has an opening named after him. Any guesses? He is Paul Banker. He watched my game and he stood behind me, and I didn't even notice it. By the way, on the back you can see that also Susan Polgar was giving a simul behind us. Here's another picture. Here you can see me better, and you can see the rook endgame that I showed you during the game. In the end, I did ask her to give me an autograph. I mean, of course. And I also took a picture with her and her sister Sophia. Unfortunately, I couldn't get a picture with Susan. I don't remember why. So you can see little me is being quite happy about it. A little shy smile. And then there is also Judith here. And let me show you another picture, which was with her sister, Sophia Polgar. And unfortunately, I couldn't play against her, but it was such an amazing opportunity to meet her too. So this was the game I wanted to show to you. And funny thing is, if I remember well, it was 2 days after my birthday. I think it was on the 13th of November, and my birthday is on the 11th. So this was an extra birthday gift. Maybe that's why she let me draw again, to make a draw against her. Who knows? Or maybe it was my skills. Thank you for watching the video. Don't forget to subscribe, like the video, and I also appreciate likes, comments, tigers, language, pancakes under the video. I will see you next time. Bye bye.